Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Market Movers, we are going to take a look on the USD JPY, which has been consolidating closer to these 107 levels for past almost a week, and now it looks promising that we might see upward momentum beginning from these levels, and there is a possibility of it might going on the higher side towards 108 or even beyond that. So we will see if there are any opportunities for us which can be exploited in today's session. If you consider the trading context for the day, we have almost an empty data docket. We didn't really get any major releases regarding the economic data from the major countries of Asia or even the Euro area, Europe as a whole. And even for the North American trading session, we don't really have much data lined up to be released. If you consider the political or you can say the fundamental aspects which are actually weighing on the market sentiments today, we have these deals, the negotiations are going on for a resolution regarding the recovery fund, which has been kind of deadlocked because of the opposition of frugal four countries of Australia, Denmark, Netherlands, and Sweden, which are opposed to the idea of giving the aid to the peripheral euro area economies which are suffering because of this ongoing pandemic. They want some of these funds to be given out as a loan and not as a grant. So we have these negotiations going on, and we are expecting a breakthrough or some sort of deal being reached on that front. As per the preliminary reports coming out, there is a possibility of you can say a portion of funding in different manners. Almost around 390 billion euros might be released as a grant, whereas 360 million billion, sorry, 360 billion euros might be released as a loan. So we will have to see the fine print once this deal is reached, and that is going to be a major market mover for today's trading session. Apart from that, there is not much an movement in the equity segment. Even in the currency segment, there is not much of an movement. And if you consider the major indices closing levels, if we leave out the China, then not much change on either side, either the upside or the downside. For China, Shanghai Composite closed almost 3 percentage point higher, so there were major gains there. But now, as the European session is underway, we don't really have much momentum there, and also the US equity indices futures are also trading on a tepid note. Moving on to the technical segment, we will see in today's session the USD JPY's technical outlook, and along with that, we will also consider the NZD USD, which we are considering after a long time. Let's start with the USD JPY's technical outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and this consolidation closer to this support area, which we have observed for almost a week now. So here, after this consolidation and no real break on the downside, the possibility is rising that we might be heading on the higher side in case of USD JPY. So that's what today's trading opportunities are all about. If you consider this prior formation, we had these immediate swing lows established closer to 106 zone, and on both these occasions we had this turnaround happening almost closer to the identical level, and this time around the USD JPY is holding above these prior swing lows, and that makes it a good bet if we were to bet on a higher low being formed around this zone. Then that naturally opens up a possibility of a higher high being formed in coming session. So with that technical aspect in mind, we can really bet on the USD JPY even rising above this 108 level, where we had this prior swing high. And apart from that, if we consider this price action for almost 3 months now, we have seen this pretty range bound momentum in the USD JPY, not much of a movement, and this consolidation zone. I think even if we don't really see a big momentum towards 110, still we can bet on kind of short to medium term possibility here. Moving on to the 4 hourly chart, we have these price action playing out in the lower band of this pivot point series, and that's a bit of negative. And if we consider this central pivot point, that is pretty close to this 108 level, so that is our immediate target. Also on the higher side, just at the start of the month, we had these levels around 108.10, and from there on we saw this sharp sell off which pushed the USD JPY lower, and after this due consolidation again we had this fresh selling momentum, and now here we have this double bottom kind of formation. And then in yesterday's sorry, in Friday's session, again we saw that USD JPY did found support closer to 107 zone, and as the price action is again approaching those zone around 107 price area, I feel we can indeed bet on it, and as long as this immediate swing low is in place, we can continue to look for any buying opportunity in today's session. If you consider the regression curve, it is now slowly bending on the upside. Of course, the price action is still playing out in the lower band of this regression curve. But if you see this long consolidation phase, that gives us more hope for us to see if we can indeed profit from this emerging opportunity. If you consider the hourly chart here, on the higher side we had this resistance coming into play and pushing the USD JPY lower around 107.4. Even in morning hours, once the trading began during the Asian trading session, we had this sharp move on the high side, and then as the European session progressed, we saw all of these gains evaporating, and now we are back to square one as USD JPY is again getting back closer to these swing lows formed on in the Friday's trading session, just little above 106.9. But on the lower side, we have this formation of higher lows, and on the upper side we have these almost identical swing highs. So you can say we have this ascending triangle kind of pattern taking place in case of USD JPY. And if we don't really see a big move on the lower side, if the USD JPY consolidates above the 107 zone, I am fairly optimistic regarding the chances of USD JPY regaining its mojo and trying to move on the higher side. So look out for this zone around 107 zone, and if you feel this is a good bet, we can of course go for a trade on the long side. And I think a stop loss anywhere close to 106.8 to 106.7, that is in this vicinity somewhere here, should be good enough for today's session. And if we are going for a long trade in the vicinity of 107.10 to 107, this is the price zone closer to this upward moving this trend line. That should be good enough. So for a risk of around 30 to 25 to 30 pips, you can indeed bet on this USD JPY's price action, and that indeed looks promising. And even from the traditional perspective of keeping a risk reward ratio of at least 1:2, we can bet on the higher side with immediate target coming in around this immediate swing high. And if we want to hold on to the position, we can also do that. So that will open up the possibility of continuing the trade at least till 108 price area. So that is what the successful anticipation will look like. And if in case we go wrong, then of course we will have to suffer some losses, but those losses won't be that big and in proportion to what we are trying to make on the profitable side. In case we go right, I think that's a decent risk to take. Now moving on to the USD JPY technical outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and here you can see this consolidation around 64 to 66 price zone, which has been happening in the NZD USD for almost a month now. Here we had this prior rally after making low closer to 55 to this 61 zone, and then after due consolidation, the NZD USD again picked up the momentum and it has almost rallied closer to the 100% of its prior Fibonacci expansion, and now it is struggling on the higher side, but still I'm not really concerned about the NZD prospects on the higher side, and we aren't really looking for any shorting opportunity here. On contrary, we are looking for a opportunity to go long with a possible Liti of USD moving even above this 100% Fibonacci expansion zone of little above 0.662. So taking that into account, I think that we can try to see if what are the price areas where we can get involved on the long side, and if we consider this consolidation around 65 zone, then we have these immediate swing lows which can provide us decent opportunity to make fresh entries, and then on the higher side we have this regression curve as well as pivot point series which is pointing on the upside. So we don't really have any major resistance in side unless and until we see that this R1, that is around 0.6632 being reached. So we have almost a percentage point move on the higher side, which is a good possibility if things turn out as per our anticipation. Regression curve is also bent on the upside, as well as I said, the pivot point series is also giving a hint of bullish tendency in the NZD USD. Now turning to the 1 hourly chart, we have this confluence of 50, 100 and 200 SMA. So taken together, we have this strong support area being formed around these 0.6540 levels. We also have these lower band of these ascending triangles. So you can say that unless and until this immediate support zone is broken, we can continue to bet on the NZD for it to continue to rise and possibly go higher towards 0.6630 range. So if that is going to happen, I think we can take some risk here, and as I said, we have this immediate support closer to the swing low established around 0.6540, and we also have this confluence zone of these SMAs. So because of that, because we have these multiple factors which are pointing to the possibility of NZD USD continuing on the higher side, and if it is able to break above this immediate swing high which is there around 0.6590, then that will open up the possibility of a new swing highs being formed closer to the first resistance zones of the monthly pivot point series. So that opens up the target zone of around 0.6630. So here for an entry anywhere close to 0.6540 to 0.6550, we have a stop loss of just little below this immediate swing low which is there around 0.6530. So for a risk of around 20 to 25 pips on the higher side, you can target almost 60 to 70 pips. So even from the conservative perspective, we are getting a decent enough trading opportunity here, as we will be making around 60 to 70 pips on the higher side if our anticipation goes right. And if we happen to be on the losing side, we will be losing around 20 to 25 pips. So from that perspective as well, there is a risk which can be taken as the formation is also looking promising. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.